greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Today and tomorrow are yet to be said.
Hello everyone, this is No One of Consequence, back again with a new video. This is episode 21 in a series which recounts my ongoing Dungeons & Dragons campaign, which is now in its 9th year. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. So, as always, spoiler alert, this video I will be revealing details about this adventure module. And another note, the latter part of this module, I made some substantial changes to the module as written, so if you're already familiar with the adventure module, what you'll see in this video series will not always match exactly what's written in the module. So as a reminder, here is the current composition of the adventuring party. As you can see, I've got 4 players running 6 characters. Where we left off last time, the characters are now on the 3rd level of the dungeons of the Temple of Elemental Evil, and they had found a metal door, but the side that they approached from did not have a handle, and there was not even a keyhole or anything that would facilitate opening the door from the side. So they just turned around and went in a different direction. What they found, they soon came to another short flight of stairs, and it led into a trapezoidal shaped room, and there were 4 doors lining the walls of this place. And then in the center of the room there was a fire pit, although it was not currently lit, and then there was also a big gong centered in the room as well. So the characters just picked a random door that they were going to check out, and just as they were about to try to open it, it flew open on its own, and they were confronted by a couple of really huge bugbears. And so battle quickly ensued. And as you can see in this screenshot, the characters have defeated one of the bugbears and had moved into that room. However, the noise of the fighting attracted attention, and the room on the right-hand side opposite from where they were flew open, and there were several more bugbears located in there. Most of those bugbears spill out of that room and across to start engaging the characters in combat, and unfortunately you can see the cleric Niobe and Thorol the magic user were the first ones, and the fighters were still in that room fighting the large bugbear. So the cleric and the mage were in trouble. One of the bugbears also, instead of engaging the characters, it ran up to that gong and started banging on it with its weapon, and of course that created a lot of noise. And then not soon after that, the door in the upper right hand corner flew open, and some ogres came out and moved to start fighting the characters. By now the fighters of the party had come back out into the main room so they could start fighting these other bugbears, and also Thorol cast haste on the entire party to help them in their battle against all these monsters. Then, after another couple of rounds, the 4th door there in the upper left-hand corner opened up, and a hilt giant stepped into the room, and he had a huge club in one hand and a boulder in the other. And as giants do, they throw rocks, and since giants particularly hate dwarves, he targeted Obrak and did some significant damage on him. It's hard to see his icon. He's there under the elbow of that hill giant. You can see how low his health bar is. But he and Aramis ran up to start fighting that giant. And the other characters began moving up to help fight the other minions that were still alive. And unfortunately, you can see there in the chat window, Niobe, the cleric, tried to help, but she rolled a fumble and didn't do herself any favors. Then in this next screenshot, you can see that Obrak and Aramis finally defeated the hill giant. There's still a few of the minions left alive that need to be defeated. But unfortunately for the characters, the hill giant had a pet warg, which now came running out of the room, and it's the first character that it came across was Obrak, and it started attacking him. And you can see here his now his health bar is really low, but eventually the characters managed to defeat everyone in here with no one dying. So after this battle, the characters decided they'd had enough, and they gathered up. They found a chest in that hill giant's lair and took it back to Hamlet and shut themselves up in one of the side rooms to inspect what treasure they found. And Elmo, you can see here, Elmo was nosy and wanted to hear what had happened and see what the characters found. So the next day, the characters went back to the temple, and they soon found a circular-shaped room, which the walls of which were lined with statues of various types of monsters, and each one of them was either guarding or holding some kind of treasure. And the room itself was illuminated by these strange blue lights instead of the usual torches. So the characters entered the room and began trying to gather up some of these, what they assume were magic items from these statues. One of them was trapped. I can't remember the specifics. I don't have the notes, but it might be there where Varys is at the top of the room. But unfortunately, the room was guarded by these blue lights, were actually monsters or will-o-wisps, if you look in the monster manual. And they began moving to attack the characters. And they were very difficult to hit, and their attack consisted of an electric shock. And anytime a character got hit, they got to make a saving throw. But if they failed their saving throw, then their possessions had to make a save versus electric shock as well. And they lost some items that way. They eventually defeated 2 of the wisps, and the remaining 2 retreated. And the characters decided not to stick around in this room anymore and continued on. And they eventually came to a room which was clearly a prison / torture chamber. And this room is one that I'm referring to when I say I made changes. If you're familiar with the module as written, this room is that weird room that has like gargoyles and I can't remember, like jackals. And anyway, it was a really weird room, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But what would make sense to me was that the temple leaders on this level would have a prisoner holding area of their own. And so that's what I converted this room into. But at the current time, at least, no one was here, no prisoners or even prison guards. And so the characters just explored around a little and then continued on. And then they soon came to a really strange room. It was, the room itself was actually a pit below the floor level of the dungeon, and around the edge of the room was a wooden walkway that you could, circle around the edge of the room and look down. The bottom of the pit was all lined with sheet metal, and it appeared to be bronze. And then on the ceiling at the entrance to this area, pressed up against the ceiling was what appeared to be a ladder, and on the near edge, there to the left, it was hinged and held up in place with springs. But the characters could see that the ladder could be pulled down and reach the bottom, this pit area of this room. And so Garrett, being the thief, jumped up there and climbed out and created enough weight to cause the ladder to hinge down into the bottom of the pit. And then they had Nio stand on the ladder so that she would hold it down in place. And you can see Obrak and Varys walking around the edge up on the walkway above the pit in the middle of the room. And Garrett and some of the other characters, there was a alcove down in the pit to the north, and you can see it illuminated there. It wasn't visible from the walkway. You don't see it until you're down in the pit, and Garrett went to explore that. It was filled with bones, but then out of the other area, this huge monster came running out, and if you're familiar with the module, it's an Umber Hulk, and it ran out into the pit area, but instead of attacking any of the characters, it ran to the ladder and started climbing up it. And it just happened to be at this time that Obrak was coming down the ladder into the room. And so Obrak was blocking the monster's path, and so it began attacking him. And then here in this screenshot, you can see Niobe has come out to help. And then you can also see Varys and Garrett there moving around as well. Garrett tried to shoot the thing with his bow. You can see he rolled a fumble there. And Varys decided to try out some new spells that he had acquired from leveling up. And he cast both Mirror Image and a Floating Disc. And he was using that floating disc to try to get, because by now that monster was like halfway up the ladder because Obrak was out of the way. I can't remember how Obrak got where he is. I don't have it in my notes. But anyway, the other characters are trying to fight that thing as it was on the ladder. And again, if you're familiar with the module, it says this monster, really all it wants to do is escape because it's been trapped down here in this sheet metal lined pit for a long time. But it hasn't been fed very well, and it will try to eat at least one of the characters and try to kill others as well because of its rage at being captured for so long. And it tried to do that, but it had taken some substantial damage from the characters at this point, and so I decided that instead of trying to eat anyone, it would just try to get away before it was killed. So it ran on the rest of the way up the ladder and got to the actual level of the dungeon, and you can see Thorol standing there in the corner. And the monster was running straight for him, and, you know, of course, he was like, oh god, oh god, oh god. But it didn't attack him, it just ran past him and then down to the south and disappeared into the darkness to make his escape. And you can see when it was running towards Thorol, Aramis ran along that walkway trying to get there to help Thorol, defend Thorol from the thing, but like I say, it ended up not attacking Thorol. It just ran past him and disappeared off into the dungeon. And you can also see, now that it's gone, the characters, Obrak and Garrett, are exploring that alcove, and they explored the other alcove as well, and they did find some treasure in here as well. Alright, well, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button if you haven't yet, subscribe, Share the video, leave a comment. The more you interact with the video, the more likely YouTube is going to recommend it to other people. So anything you can do to help the channel, I'd appreciate it. Thanks again. Bye for now.
The greatest adventure is what